What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for February 6, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. It is Tuesday. Time for a little motivation / positivity. And this one really kind of hit home. They always seem to hit home with what's going on in my life. And at 4:30 this morning when I was waking up, the bed was warm. It was cold. It was 20-some degrees outside. And I knew I had to go for a 3-mile run. This quote really kicked in, and that is, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And I've talked since the beginning of the year about my quest to lose 51 pounds this year by January or December 31st. And you don't do things like that without having a plan in place. And it doesn't necessarily need to be just your weight loss plan. It can be stuff you're doing for work. It can be improving yourself, being a better parent, being a better spouse, stuff you're doing at work, running a marathon, starting a new hobby, whatever it is, you need a plan to get there. Really, the only thing that is luck is the lottery, and you really can't plan for that. So everything in life you need to have a plan for. So as you go about your week, keep that in the back of your mind, that a goal without a plan is just a wish. And you don't necessarily want to be wishing, sure, you can wish that you can lose 51 pounds, but how are you going to do it? How are you going to carry out? And that's getting up at 4:30, going to the gym when no everybody else is still sleeping, running 3 miles when it's still dark outside, and it's cold, and you're seeing the people come home from third shift. So have a plan, do what you need to do, but carry out the steps of that plan, and you'll achieve it. Otherwise, you're just wishing. So go about your week and keep that in mind. And that's, again, that's something that can be translated to every part, every aspect of your life. So that is our Tuesday motivation / positivity for this week. Let's start with our recap of yesterday's question of the day, and I asked, should the Sixers trade or stand pat now that Joe is injured? And surprisingly, this is the third time now I've asked this question this season, but between various stages. And as the season progresses, more and more people are saying they should trade. 83% of you think that there should be some type of trade based on the fact that Joe is injured. I can't say I agree with that, only because the time, if we had an extra week or two, maybe, but the trade deadline is Thursday, and there's still no word on when the surgery is going to happen as of early this morning that I was able to find. So the procedure itself seems to be a pretty, as always, by the way, thank you for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531 gets you in on the voice and text line. Let's just stick with the Sixers and more on the surgery. It seems like it's from every doctor or whoever is weighing in, the procedure itself is very straightforward. And it is a procedure that Joe's had done on that knee previously, but you won't know the extent of it until the doctor's in. So the Sixers are hoping 4 to 8 weeks, which would get him back in time for the playoffs. I guess I've heard some people say that there are extreme positive cases where it could be 2-3 weeks. It could be the season ending. A lot of it is dependent upon his pain tolerance. There are some people that he could have possibly played through this, but then his knee could have swollen up, and then he had to have the surgery anyway. So I mentioned that yesterday. So it's probably good that he's getting it now. But to me, again, without knowing what the outcome of the surgery is, it's hard to make that decision. And without knowing when the surgery is, if it's today or tomorrow, then they should have a sense. But if it's not till Thursday, that's the trade deadline. So we'll have to see how that goes. The product on the court right now, they're playing shorthanded. It was not good. They lost 118-102 to Dallas. They hung tough. They couldn't shoot, and they were in it until the beginning of the fourth quarter when Dallas went on a run, and that just really broke the Sixers back. Lost now 6 of 7, so they're definitely at a crossroads right now. So we'll have to see which way Daryl Morey and Elton Brand decide to go. But one thing I wanted to mention, last thing on Joe, is there seems to be two very distinct camps when it comes to him with Philly fans, and pretty typical. Philly fans are very passionate and vocal, and on point with everything. But there's the people that are saying, oh, he's a generational talent. He's this, he's that, best player in the league. And then there's the people that are like, oh, he sucks. He's got no heart. He's always getting hurt. Why is he diving on the floor, doing things a guard does? And I don't understand the argument there, because why can't both be true? Why can't, in my opinion, he's a generational talent. He's one of the top 5 players in the NBA when he is healthy. He could be very well be the best player when he's on his game and fully healthy. But that's a big if. He's not been healthy. And yeah, I'll give you, like, he's tough. I think he's plays through injury, and maybe this injury is partly because of his stubbornness and him wanting to play. But the fact of the matter is, he's been injury prone since Kansas, so you can't overlook that. But I don't understand why there's an argument there. Why can't both be true? Like, why? Like, there's just such hate for him, or such blind love for him, and it's like, no, like, both can be true. He is a generational talent that gets hurt all the time. Granted, most of his injuries are freak. Like this last injury, I mean, nobody's going to tell me any different. It was a dirty play, a dirty shot. He's gotten random fractured orbital bone. Like, it's just random, like so many freak injuries. But let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Is Joe, can both be true? Can they be, or are they mutually exclusive? Exclusive. Is he either generational talent, or is he injury prone? I say both are true. All right. Flyers news there in Florida after the All-Star break tonight to take on the Panthers. This would be a pivotal 2-week stretch for them as they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with the trade deadline, and are they going to be contenders? Are they a playoff team? Are they not? So we'll know hopefully more. I know John Tortorella said the end of January is when you start seeing it, and that's around when we're in the middle of this losing streak. So coming out of the All-Star break, I think you give them maybe 5 games to see, and then you'll know, are they a playoff team, and whether they're buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. More updates on Carter Hart. The London police, London, Ontario, said there's more evidence, which is what led to them reopening this case and kind of re-exploring it. The whole situation is just screwed up. And, like, to me, people are saying, oh, well, they're innocent. Listen, if you were in that room, you're guilty. No questions asked. Like, maybe you didn't participate, but if you were in it, yeah. So I think he's done. I mean, I know it's innocent until proven guilty, but I mean, there's a ton of smoke around this case. So we'll see what happens, but in all likelihood, he's done. The NHL did say that the teams with players who are involved in this can have some cap relief, but I don't know how much this will impact the Flyers since Carter Hart was a restricted free agent anyway. I just say you say good riddance and let him go. But more importantly, the Flyers are in Florida tonight as they try to figure out their identity for the rest of the season. Eagles news, and there's one big story, but I wanted to mention this. Super Bowl tickets are $5,500, and the NFL has effectively taken out the average fan from enjoying the Super Bowl. It's more corporate, it's more for celebrities, and it's ridiculous. Like, who can afford $5,500 to go to the Super Bowl? But just wanted to point that out because I think it's ridiculous, and I'll get off of my old man yelling at the cloud soapbox now. But we have an update for next year. We know the Eagles will be opening up on Friday Night Football in Brazil. They will be the home team for that. It is only the second time that they are playing internationally. They've played the Jaguars back in 2018 in London, and the Eagles did win that game. It was a very sloppy game, 24-18. That was the year after the Super Bowl. They did play Mexico City, London, and Tokyo for preseason games, but kind of cool. I'm still waiting to see how this impacts our season tickets since they've taken one of our home games away from us. They did not announce the opponent, though, and I doubt that it's going to be division. So, I mean, take away Dallas, Washington, and the Giants. And I really think for the NFL to have the Eagles Cowboys open up the season, it would be a big draw, but I don't think the way they tend to do things, you don't want that game opening up when everybody's going to be watching it as a standalone game to open the season. So that leaves the Browns, Falcons, Jags, Steelers, Packers, and Panthers. Get the Panthers out. Nobody wants to see that game to open up. I don't think they're going to make Jacksonville do that since they already are playing in London. Atlanta, okay, maybe. But I think ultimately it comes down to the Browns, Steelers, Packers. Eagles, Browns just doesn't have a ton of appeal. Eagles, Packers probably would be the better game. But I think for my money, I think it's going to be Eagles, Steelers, the Battle of Pennsylvania to open the season on Friday night in Brazil. I think you have two of the more popular franchises in the NFL. You have two fan bases that travel a lot, that like to spend a ton of money to go to away games. And I think it just makes sense there. It's an interconference, so you don't have to worry about opening the season with a division game. So that's just my thought. But that's our question of the day. Let's have some fun with this. Who do you think the Eagles are going to open up the season with in Brazil? Is it the Browns, Falcons, Jags, Steelers, Packers, Panthers, or one of the division games? Let me know. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the text line. My vote is for the Steelers, but we'll see. If you are going to go down to Brazil, you're going to need some gear. Go to phillygoat.com. They have you covered. Regular gear, Kelly Green gear, you name it, they got it. Get some of those canvas loafers to match, and you'll be set. Not going to Brazil. Want to get ready for Philly season? Get your Believe shirt. They have the Schmitz that'll match good with it. Just go check them out. And I know there's some people out there who are not Philly sports fans. Check it out. They have stuff for you as well. Some of you are not 4 for 4, but maybe you like boxing. They have Mr. Sandman's Gym. So go check them out, phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery at checkout for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right, today we are going to go back to 2005. And on February 6, 2005, it was Super Bowl XXXIX, and the Eagles had finally gotten there, broken through after losing 4 straight NFC Championship games. They took on the Patriots, Tom Brady, and they were in the midst of being their dynasty. And at the end of the day, it was the Patriots beating the Eagles 24-21 in a pretty close game that the Patriots actually pulled away in the fourth quarter. If you remember, this was the Donovan McNabb puking in the huddle game. T.O. came back and just had a monster game with like 100 yards and ridiculous amount of catches off that broken leg. The Eagles actually led 10-7 or 7-0 in this game, and then were tied at halftime and just couldn't get it done. But McNabb did throw for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he had those 3 interceptions and just looked lethargic. I feel like thinking back on that, like when he got hit early, I think it ended up being called back from a penalty or a fumble, whatever it was, but he didn't have his chin strap buckled. And I feel like from the very start, he just looked off. But T.O. had 9 catches, 122 yards. They couldn't really get much going on the ground. Obviously, there was the whole did Bill Belichick record their practices? Players seemed to know what they were calling. I don't know. I don't want to get into all of that. But on this day in 2005, the Eagles lost to the Patriots 24-21 in Super Bowl XXXIX, played in Jacksonville, Florida, after finally getting there over the hump. And it just sort of was downhill for a year or two with that Eagles team. They had the whole T.O. fiasco. McNabb was hurt the following year. So it was kind of the crescendo. And I do think, to be honest, that was sort of getting there was their Super Bowl. And I think it was sort of a letdown for them. But on this day, back in 2005, it was Super Bowl XXXIX. Eagles losing to the Patriots 24-21 in a closely contested game, but just McNabb just seemed lethargic and off the entire game. And it's odd to say that from a guy who threw for 357 yards, but I think back to that with the chin strap early in the game, and there was the rumors that he was hungover, so I guess we'll never know for sure. But that happened on this day back in 2005. Finally, our Philly Sports Black History Spotlight of the day. Meldrick Taylor, who was a Philadelphia boxer. He went 99-4 as an amateur, won a gold medal in the 1984 LA Olympics as a featherweight, then decided to turn pro after the Olympics. He quickly rose up the ranks and won the IBF light welterweight, had a much anticipated fight with Julio Cesar Chavez. Both of them came in the fight undefeated. I believe this was a unification bout. And in a hard-fought fight, Julio Cesar Chavez did win. I think it was a TKO. I think Taylor wasn't able to answer the bell. From there, he did go up in weight, won the WBA welterweight championship. When he lost that, he moved up and fought as a light middleweight. Overall, though, he had a 38-8-1 record with 20 KOs. One of the best boxers to come from Philadelphia. That fight with Julio Cesar Chavez, I kind of remember that. It was a big deal, not only because they were two of the best at the time. It's just Julio Cesar Chavez was the big name, but it was pretty cool to have a Philly fighter, fighting in that big of a, match. So today's Philly Sports Black History Spotlight is on Meldrick Taylor, who is in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame as one of the best amateur and pro boxers to ever do it. Won the gold medal in '84, 99-4 amateur record. Meldrick Taylor is today's Philly Sports Black History Spotlight. On this day in 2005, it was Super Bowl XXXIX, the Eagles losing to the Patriots 24-21 after finally getting there. They played hard, but again, McNabb was off despite throwing for 357 yards. And a lot of that came from T.O. just balling out. Be sure to let me know who you think the Eagles' opponent will be in Brazil to open the season. My vote is for the Steelers, but 267-495-8531 gets you in. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know you're there. We're closing in on 60, and I know my goal is 100. But I know that there are at least 100 people out there. So just hit the subscribe button and you're good to go. If you want some Girl Scout cookies, check the link in the description. Get your Girl Scout cookies from Ella. It's not too late. You probably need your second round anyway. Why not do it for Ella? But remember, a dream or a goal without a plan is only a dream. Go out there, set goals, set high goals for yourself, but hit the checkpoints, have the steps, the plan in place to get there. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.